Hi everyone, Stepan here. The last two games have been a draw and a loss, which isn't good. So yeah, let's hope game 11 can be better. We are going to be playing out positions I don't understand well against Nocti, because I find that very helpful. And yeah, hopefully that improves my understanding of them. Okay, I have white. Let's go d4. Kirutik M. He has a fire next to his name. That's always intimidating. What is this? Is this the Englund Gambit? Okay, we're gonna accept. I don't know. Queen e7? Okay, I'll just take this. What? How do I develop against this? I could consider c3. I could consider bishop g5. What's wrong with bishop g5? I want to go bishop g5, e3, bishop e2. Is there a downside to that? There are no tricks with bishop f2 because the bishop came out to d6. There may be bishop g4 in the future, but for now I think we're safe to play this. Okay. Let's just continue developing. I'm not too familiar with this. I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'll just play chess. So, you know, I'm not gonna give away my bishop. My opponent wants to take and attack my bishop somehow, but if I play bishop e2, that doesn't work. Wants to castle queenside. That's understandable. So if my opponent castles queenside, where does my queen go? Castles queenside. If I play c3, castles queenside, queen c2 seems okay. So c3, castles queenside, queen c2. Yeah, this is fine. Then I'm gonna go knight bd2 and just have a normal Caro-Kann position, hopefully, without any tricks for my opponent. Is this the Englund Gambit? I think it is. I don't think I've covered this opening on the channel. I may just do that because I've actually faced it now. I mean, I faced it in blitz games before, never in a rapid game or anything more serious than that. I'm trying to be a bit quieter because my niece is sleeping in a room next to the living room, and also Lucia is sleeping upstairs. Also, it's about 6 AM and the house is full of people, so this is the only time I can have some peace to play. So if I'm a bit quiet, excuse me. Okay, queen c2 seems sensible. Bishop f5 does not work. Is there any knight b4 tricks? No, I doubt it. Let's just get away from that queen. I may also castle queenside. I mean, I don't really see why I wouldn't. I'm gonna play knight bd2 first and then decide what to do. Whether I go rook d1, castles queenside, or castles kingside. I'm slightly worried about bishop f3, and bishop h2 in some positions where my opponent may have knight g4 check and queen takes h4 check. So even bishop g3 is an option, but before that, knight bd2 covering the e4 square seems sensible. After knight bd2, I may also play bishop takes f6, queen f6, knight e4. Alright, forces bishop g3. I mean, I still haven't castled kingside, so this really isn't scary. Now my opponent can never play g6, bishop f5, which I was slightly worried about. He just keeps taking everything. Okay. This is a very, very strange opening setup. So my opponent wants to go bishop d3. Check. I can see that. Do I get anything with queen f5 check? I don't think so. I may keep that for later use. So bishop e2 covering d3 makes perfect sense to me. I definitely don't want to castle kingside now. What else are my options? Bishop e2 or what? Queen f5, king b8, bishop e2. I like bishop e2. Is there knight g4 there? So bishop e2, knight g4, knight bd2, knight e3, fe3, queen e3, castles queenside doesn't work. Bishop e2, knight d5, knight bd2, knight e3, fe3, queen e3. No, I'm just playing bishop e2. I want to cover d3 and keep things solid. Then later knight d2 and knight f3. If my opponent plays h5, I have queen f5 and takes. If my opponent moves the queen, I have queen f5 and takes the knight. Okay, my opponent wants to play queen takes a2 if I castle queenside, I guess. Let's just keep developing. Cover c4, give myself the option to go knight b3 if I want to, maybe knight d4. I don't see any issues with my setup. I also don't understand this move. Is the knight coming to c5? Does my opponent want to play f5? I don't know. My opponent's also playing extremely quickly. Knight b3 is an option, queen b3 is an option. Well, queen b3 is definitely an option, because also queen a4 is an option, but that runs into knight b6 later on, or knight c5. Queen b3. Queen b3, what does my opponent do? Queen f5 most likely? If I go queen a4, okay, queen b3, queen f5, castles queenside. Queen takes f2 seems very unreasonable for me. So let's have a look at queen b3, queen f5, knight f3. Then there is g4, knight takes, and I don't have bishop f3, at least not easily. If I castle queenside straight away, then queen a2. If I go queen a4, then king b8. And then let's say castles queenside, queen f5. I always have rook f1. I also have knight f3. If I go knight b3, then the knight's coming to d4, but my opponent may have queen f6. Yeah, so I'm not sure I want to go knight b3. I also don't think I should keep my king in the center. So queen b3, queen f5, knight f3, knight f3, bishop f3, knight e5. No, knight e5 fails to queen b7. Okay, so I think queen b3 is fine. If queen f5, I'm gonna go knight f3. I mean, maybe I don't have to worry about that until I castle, but okay, wants to go knight d3 check. But couldn't I just castle now? Castle's queenside, knight d3, bishop d3, queen d3, knight f3. Seems okay. I may also take on f7, but that seems risky. Castle's queenside, knight c5, queen c2. Seems okay. Okay, I'm castling queenside. I don't see a downside to this. There's no knight g4. f5 doesn't really do anything. Okay, knight c5. Queen c2 was what I'd intended. So queen c2, knight d3, bishop d3. Queen c2, knight d3, bishop d3, knight d3, king b1, knight f2. Knight e4 or queen f5 or knight c4? I don't know, but I think queen c2 is forced. I don't think my opponent can take on f2 ever. Okay, now that I can secure the d3 square, I feel like knight b3 is correct. Knight b3, knight takes, pawn takes. Yeah, okay, this is fine. I was worried about knight d3 check, but if my opponent isn't going to play it, then I'm happy. Why is my opponent playing so quickly? That's extremely irritating. What do I take with? I want to take with the pawn. I'm not really a big fan of trading queens now. Also, I want to cover the c4 square. Why would I trade queens? I'm up a pawn and the f5 square is weak. Well, this doesn't do anything, I'm just gonna take. And if queen takes, I get my other rook to the d file. Okay, rook d1 or queen f5? Queen f5. Queen f5, check, king b8, rook d1. How does my opponent keep defending the knight? Queen f5, queen f5, king b8, rook d1. Queen a3? That... what? What? Okay, my opponent resigned. I don't know what to say about this game. Maybe a premature resignation? I mean, I'm up a pawn, but... what? Why resign? Okay, let's just see this. So I know in this position many people will play... there's a tricky line with what was it? Knight. What was the line? Maybe not this. I think bishop c5. And then there's a trick where they... No, what did I do? Something like this. I don't know, where they threaten here and here. What is the line? Wait, knight f3. Oh, let me get rid of these arrows. This is so irritating. Queen e7. No. d6. ed6. I can't remember that line. In any case, bishop d6. Let's turn on the engine. I don't think we'll be using Nocti for this. This is just... Okay, bishop g5 is fine. e3. Okay, here. I should have gone knight c3. That makes sense, but... Wait, this is only plus 0.5? Ah, I should have taken with the pawn. Why didn't I take with the pawn? Idiot. I should have taken with the pawn. Queen b3. Okay. I was expecting knight d3 here. Why not knight d3? Oh, because I don't have to take. If I take once... I was gonna take once. And then there is no knight f2 because I can... I was looking at this, but maybe... Ah, no, I cannot move the knight. My rook is hanging. Oh yeah, queen f5. Okay. That I didn't see. So knight b3 takes, pawn takes, rook d6 takes, queen takes. Yeah, I was debating between queen f5 and rook d1. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure I would have ended up playing rook d1. Okay, so we defeated the Englund Gambit. I don't have a lot to say about this game. I don't think it's a good opening. I think I should cover it on the channel at some point. Knight c6, knight f3. The main move is queen e7. And I remember playing queen d5 in one blitz game, and my opponent was confused. They didn't know how to win the pawn back, and then we got the position like this, where I was just up a pawn and I won. All right. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.